I jumped from the iPhone 5 to the iPhone 12 Pro. These phones debuted 8 years apart and there are 13 models in between them. In this video, I'm telling you my whole story. I'm Hava Schultz, the host of this YouTube channel, a place where I provide inspiration and information on how to live a stylish, healthy, happy, minimal lifestyle. Speaking of lifestyle, as a content creator focused on photos and videos and other digital media, it's been very difficult to get quality media on the go with such an old piece of technology. In fact, when content creators say, you can get a good picture even on your phone, I'm not even sure if they're talking to me, because this phone is so old that first of all, there's about a 3-second delay when I hit that white button to take the picture to when it actually takes. So if there's any motion in those 3 seconds or darkness, you can pretty much guarantee that that photo should be trashed. Also, it's so old that the amount of resolution that has improved from this phone, not even to just this phone, but ones that are long older than this one, is so different that you can detect it with the naked eye. So why did I do this? It started as a money thing and then it transitioned into a social experiment on myself to test my personal discipline, resourcefulness, gratitude, and creativity. Stick with me to the end to find out why I have my iPhone 12 Pro, but I'm not actually using it yet. This story begins with an iPhone 6s. The iPhone 6s debuted on September 9th, 2015. I never really got the newest models growing up. I got whatever was the cheaper one that was a little bit older with the phone plan just to save money. So I don't know when I acquired this, except to say that I started college in 2015 and I must have used it throughout all of college. So I don't remember the details on the acquisition, but this was a phone I had through the whole thing. Now let's fast forward to September of 2019. Right before I graduated. I graduated in December of 2019. It was totally great, working fine, and then randomly, it just died. No warning, so I was totally panicked. I rushed to the Apple store. They took a look at the phone, and then when they came out from the back, they told me that there was nothing that they could do because if Apple finds any water damage, they will not touch it. And I have no idea what that was about because I never had an incident with water and this phone, but in any case, I was dumb out of luck. They offered to sell me an iPhone 7 at the time for $399, which was halfway, or a third at least, of the price to a brand new iPhone 11, which was the newest model at that point. Plus now there's an iPhone SE, so 1 year later, or less than a year later, the next iPhone came out for the same price. I just had a gut feeling that that was not the answer for me. It was not a good deal, and as far as saving money, I was like, wait a second, if I spend $400 now, that's $400 less I can get for a newer model. Knowing that I'm into photos and videos, I knew that newer cameras were going to be important. I basically said, no thank you. I left, I didn't have a phone or way of communicating, which was crazy by the way, because I had work that afternoon and I couldn't communicate with my clients except for through iMessages on my laptop. So anytime I was not on Wi-Fi, I was totally unreachable. I left with no plan and didn't know what I was gonna do. But on that drive home, of course, I was still thinking about the whole thing, and I remembered that about a year before that, my boyfriend had upgraded his old iPhone 6. No, I had a 6S, he had a 6, those are not the same model, and he had upgraded to an iPhone XS. So I wondered if he still had that phone, and I contacted him through iMessages on my laptop when I got home, and found out that he did. This part of the story transitions us from my iPhone 6S to the iPhone 6. Notice that I went back a model, but got a new phone. Real quick, before we move on, I want to just say if you're enjoying this video, please go ahead and give this a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And now let's keep going with the story. We are about to move into the next section of this story, but before I do, I want to just let you know I created an Instagram post all about how I was feeling that day, what the situation was, and what I was facing. So if you're curious about the specific details and how I felt initially and my reaction that day, I will have the specific Instagram post linked in the description below so you can read that caption. Just as a reminder, we have gone from the beginning of college using the same iPhone until September of 2019, just a few months before my college graduation, at which point I transitioned from an iPhone 6S to an iPhone 6 because I had no interest in buying a $400 old iPhone model. I was just very grateful to have an iPhone at all because I was thinking of all different kinds of scenarios and looking at different phones and just not wanting to leave the iPhone train but wasn't sure what to do. So I was very grateful to have this device, be it older than my last one. I decided that this thing would buy me time to save money. When I first got it, I just thought that I would keep it for a while. I suspected that it would last until December of 2019, maybe January of 2020. But lo and behold, I made it to January and this thing was still going. So at that point, I decided I'm just gonna see how long this thing can last. I will use it until it dies forever. And at some point, I rounded the corner from being closer to the release of iPhone 11 to being closer to the release of the iPhone 12. Remember, part of my interest in getting the newest phone model, two reasons. One, needing a high quality camera to use for my professional creative endeavors like you're looking at right now, and also to have a piece of technology that works really great and also will hopefully last a few years so I don't have to continue to worry about the keep transitioning of technology unless there's some pressing reason or opportunity to do so. As 2020 progressed, this thing did not progress. It started to really go downhill. It wouldn't maintain its battery life. It would die at 60% battery. I just would never know when it was gonna randomly die. That was definitely a problem. I think there were some other glitches going on as a user that I just don't even remember at this point. As far as the cracks go, that was an accidental situation. I had my phone case off and I was actually doing fine with my phone case off. Not the best role model right here, but I was just like, this is such an old phone and cases are bulky, and there was an unfortunate event with someone that I was with and it accidentally got dropped onto a tennis court. So it cracked really bad, and you can go ahead and check out my iPhone minimalism video to go ahead and see a little bit more of how I made this look so pretty. Eventually, this thing really did die. A lot of times I had these false alarms where I thought it was gonna die, and then my mom had this magical charger. I do not understand. It was like magic, where my phone charger wouldn't work, other phone chargers wouldn't work, but if I plugged it into my mom's, it would come back to life. But eventually it got to the point where even that magical charger wouldn't work. When this died, it was July of 2020, so we really got a lot of life out of this phone. And then I was like, dang, what am I gonna do now? At this point, I still was not planning to buy an iPhone 11 Pro, even though yes, I at that point had saved up the money, but I did not want to buy it because I was so close to the 12 Pro. I didn't want to just a few months before the release of the new phone, buy the older model that would then go down in price. I thought about seeing if maybe on Facebook Marketplace, if anyone had an old phone that they'd be willing to sell me for like 20 bucks, because it's very hard to sell technology because people don't want to buy other people's old technology because usually it doesn't work. But seeing if I could find someone that maybe I know or know through a friend to sell me their old iPhone that they would get no money for otherwise, to go ahead and stick out that last few months. But I didn't have to spend any money because my dad and mom had actually gotten the new iPhones last year, and my dad told me he still had his iPhone 5. So now we're going back another model. Actually, we're going back another 2 models. So I went from the iPhone 6 to then the iPhone 5. Just as a review, the iPhone 6s debuted September 9th, 2015. The iPhone 6 debuted September 9th, 2014. And the iPhone 5 debuted September 21st, 2012. This phone was probably manufactured 8 years ago, or over 8 years ago, because by the time the phone debuted, it was probably already made. This is a very old piece of equipment, but I knew it would be really short term, so I decided to go for it. It was free and it worked. I can't believe how long it's lasted. In fact, I am still using it. Ta-da! It's still working. Like I said, there are some things that I really don't like about it, like its inability to do the camera. It does have some glitches when I use it, but overall, I'm just grateful to have had this phone. But now I'm even more grateful to have this phone. There are definitely some things that I am going to experience because the technology has changed so much. I am 23 years old using a dinosaur phone. I have not seen anyone in public, even grandparents, using this age. Both of my grandmothers use iPhones that are newer than this one, and newer than this one, and newer than the 6S. That is really interesting. I just thought about that right now. If your grandparents are using newer phone models than you, probably it's time to consider a new phone. So I did. I am not taking the iPhone 12 Pro for granted, and I want to take a few minutes to talk about some of the changes from an iPhone 5 to an iPhone 12 Pro, because the technology has changed so much over the past 8 years. You won't even believe some of the changes that I am facing. First of all, I haven't been able to update my past 3 phones, which together probably carried me through about 5.5 years. I haven't been able to update them at all because at some point, the updates of the software become too much for the hardware to handle. Therefore, even though this thing keeps telling me that it wants to give me a software update, which by the way, software update is like 12.4 something really old. If I do that, probably this thing is going to die forever in the midst of trying to update itself. So I'm not gonna give that a go. I saw all those iOS 14 videos on YouTube and Instagram a couple months ago, and I just could not relate. Other changes that I'm excited that I'm gonna be able to experience on this phone are emojis. I don't have the white heart, the brown heart, the lungs. I don't have those weird emojis that sort of look like a Bitmoji and an emoji at the same time, but they're kind of weird, so I probably won't even use them that much. The control center, that's gonna be a big thing. I know how to use it and how it works because you borrow other people's phones, you do things for them, so I know you swipe down from the corner, but I've been swiping up my whole life. So I don't know what it's like to swipe down from the corner all the time or to swipe up to close out your windows. The overall way of using the phone has really changed. I also am having my very first phone without a home button. No home button on these phones, and I've had home buttons my entire life. Except for back when I had those little LG slides. Anybody with me there? Remember those old fun phones, slide phones? Back when Blackberries were the coolest thing ever. Of course, I never had a Blackberry. In addition to those changes, I am so excited about the camera. It has portrait mode. I do not have portrait mode. I have never had portrait mode, and it's so much fun when I use my family and boyfriend's phone. And I'm just like, oh, this is so cool. Okay, my little exciting fit is over. It's more than just portrait mode though. The resolution has gone up, the ability to work with different kinds of lighting has gone up, and of course you can read all the specs on Apple's website. Another thing is that this phone is water resistant / waterproof. That is a huge thing because iPhones are expensive. Let's make no bones about it. So I've been long afraid to have anything other than an OtterBox or a light-proof case, which guarantees some level of water protection. I've never really felt comfortable taking my devices underwater, even with these very protective cases, just because if something should happen, then what? Now that's not even a problem, so I don't have to stick to OtterBoxes and light-proof cases, which by the way, I love those cases. They're so durable and so protective, and they are nice, but the designs are very simple, which sometimes there's a time for simple, but I have had simple for so many years. I'm so excited to be able to mix things up, and that's why I discovered Casetify. I would love to show you the case that I bought. I'll probably just pop it up right here because this Casetify case is so stylish. Their website has so many different designs and patterns, and they have multiple levels of protectiveness. So of course I went with the Ultra Impact Protection so that I could have that drop-proof situation and still be able to have something fun and different. I wanted to buy so many cases from them. I've talked really positively about the changes, and I am genuinely very excited for them. Something that I was not pleased with was to find out that they are no longer including ear pods or the wall adapter when you buy the phone. And the reason this was a little bit of a problem for me is because my phones have all had the separate earphone and headphone jack, so I actually needed to buy a pair of ear pods, and that I was like, rats bummed about. But what I really didn't like is that they said they weren't including a wall adapter for environmental purposes, which yes, I get it. Most of us buying iPhones do already have a wall adapter, myself included, so I didn't really need it. But I just wish that they just said we're not including this anymore, instead of saying they weren't including ear pods and a wall adapter for environmental purposes. It's like kind of an obvious money ploy, let's be real here. But at the same time, I am very grateful that they are making real environmental efforts. If you do look below, I kind of skimmed it, but they do give you all the details on how they are now making their manufacturing processes in a way that is environmental. Environmentalism, sustainability, and basically taking actions to improve the environment and the planet does mean a lot to me. So thank you very much, Apple, for making those strides, because as a large scale company, I think that you can truly make a difference. I promised earlier that I would explain why I have these old phones. I'm still using my iPhone 5, even though, look, the iPhone 12 Pro is right here in my hand. The reason I'm not using it yet is because my case from Casetify has not yet been delivered, and I want to make sure that I have the ultra protection on this phone before I actually start using it, because even though I did get Apple Care, understanding the kind of uses that I'm going to be using this for, maybe having it on tripods where it's at a more risky scenario, I also do not want to just drop it the first week of owning it. If it doesn't come in before I leave town, I'll probably buy another protective case, but I'm really hoping to not have to spend that money. Anyways, when you buy something important, I think it is important to have insurance and take care of it. I'm being patient. I've been patient for many years at this point. We can go a little bit longer. By stretching myself for over a year with old iPhone models, first of all, I completely bypassed a phone model, which of course saved me money. I challenged myself as a media professional to create quality content without relying on my phone. I increased my appreciation for what I have by making do with what I had, and most notably, lowering my impact on the planet by reusing old phones, buying less, and thus producing less waste. And then I'll be recycling these phones that don't work anymore. Now I want to hear from you. What kind of phone model are you using right now? Go ahead and just comment below. It can be a one-word iPhone model, 8 Plus, Android, Samsung Galaxy, whatever it is. I'm curious what kind of devices you're all using right now. So drop that comment. If you want to support me in my quest to create for you full-time, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for this channel. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Finally! I'm so excited.